G'day Fiona. So tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind Chocolate on Purpose.
Thanks, Wayne. It's been quite the journey. It started primarily because I'd been involved in an armed hold-up and I came down with PTSD, and it was complicated with an anxiety panic attack disorder.
Yep.
And I just discovered these facial products, and they had an essential oil in it called lavender, which doesn't have any therapeutic value. And one morning I woke up mid-panic attack and started splashing my face. Felt a bit better, put in the shower, felt a bit better, put in the bath. And by 6 o'clock I was able to get out and get the kids ready and take them to school.
Yep.
So I started to really wonder about the power. How could a botanical, because I never had another panic attack, how could a botanical work so well? And I started on a journey to explore that, studied aromatic medicine. And I found that my PTSD was not really only about that robbery. It was about how intergenerational trauma turns up in your family. Yep. The addictions, the anger, the pain, the fear. I'd all internalised that. And so my journey to heal from that also involved healing from that and breaking that cycle. And I was looking at a way to share the power of the botanicals with the mainstream. And so I tried cooking and I wasn't into that. And so then I discovered a layman's chocolate making course, and the teacher said, we're going to do raspberry and black pepper. And I said, that's an essential oil. And so then started brainstorming, Amazon superfoods, and just a clanger just dropped in my head. No, I'll use bush food because that's what my ancestors have been using for over 60,000 years. And that was the day the business was born. And then, as it evolved, it became very much about creating an impact in my business footprint. So obtaining sustainably grown cacao bean, palm oil free, and then discovering that less than 1% of Australian native supply chain are actually Indigenous, wanting to help them to create a larger participation. So sourcing from them my ingredients as often as I could, because there's not many of them. Then discovering that less than 1% of those are actually women who are the holders of the knowledge about the healing property of plants and shared it through storytelling. And so I feel that I'm also championing their regaining sovereignty in this industry by sharing culture through storytelling with my chocolate.
And I think that's absolutely amazing. To be honest, when you first visited me, saying that what you wanted to do, and I just blew my mind away because it's a unique market, but also it's a great story, and also it's promoting Aboriginal culture.
Yeah, thank
which I
you.
think is great.
Yeah, because the big picture is that I would like to be an Indigenous employer of choice in this area. I really want to be able to create a production space where I can bring people in to work for me, but it'll be more than just working for me. It will be helping them with their self-determination, empowering them to be able to be self-determined, and also be a role model for other Indigenous kids, because these days if you're a footballer and you're an artist, you can become well known, but there doesn't seem to be any middle ground. But like showing that you can be successful in business, and every extra successful Aboriginal business chips away at that stereotype that my people have out there.
So Fiona, tell us what's so special about the ingredients that you use for your chocolate.
Wayne, the ingredients have sort of evolved with the business as well. And I spent 8 years in farmers markets testing them, getting feedback from customers to really hone the recipes. So the pairings don't just happen because, we just throw them together. It's really part of the aromatic medicine that I told you about. We learnt about aromatic compounds, and the more similar aromatic compounds you have in a combination of a flavour, the greater that flavour is, the nicer that flavour is, and so that's how the flavours have been built. So at the moment we've got 2 whites, 2 milks and 2 dark flavours, and we're using Illawarra plum, Davidson plum in our whites, riberry, also known as lily pilly, and you may know it in the garden as a, they're lily pillies, I think they call them in the nursery, and then and a quandong and macadamia, and our darks are a finger lime and a rosella and pepperberry. So what we found was that as we talk about the ingredients in the chocolate, we speak about their traditional use and then we speak about their scientifically proven use. And what I love is that quite often the wisdom of the Indigenous people in the traditional use is mirrored in the scientific evidence. So a story is that when COVID happened, I was very grateful to Corporate Australia because that's really what helped me to come through. And I got a call from the Royal College of Nurses. And she said, what chocolate would you recommend for the frontline staff? And so we went with dark with Rosella and Pepperberry. And so they were all very happy, loved it. And then then it became known that COVID was affecting the circulatory system. And traditionally and scientifically, Rosella has been for heart tonification and the Pepperberry for blood circulation. And COVID was causing all these heart problems. And I rang the nurse and I said, look, I hope this isn't too airy-fairy, but this is about Rosella and Pepperberry. She goes, oh my God, I love it. And she didn't even say goodbye. She hung up the phone to run and tell everybody. And so I love that you know, there's that synergy with what's going on in real life. But we find segues to talk about the greater Indigenous issues. So an example is the quandong. It traditionally was a staple when there was no meat, and scientifically it lowers blood sugar. And the irony of that is that, you know, diabetes is rife in Indigenous communities. And so by talking about that, I can then segue to close the gap. And people are very interested and people don't know and people want to learn. And so I feel that we're also a cog in the reconciliation wheel.
So officially from Fiona, chocolate's good for you. Don't tell my wife.
If you eat good chocolate, it is. None of the saturated fats, all cocoa butter.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.